Now let's discuss structuring your response on speaking number 3. So how do you structure your response? So by the time you already read the text and listened to the conversation, you have notes. So we discussed note-taking, and these are the notes that you should have by that time. So now you have just 30 seconds to prepare your response, and you have these notes in front of you. You have the reading notes and the listening notes. So if you are good at taking notes during the reading and the listening, then your job during this 30 seconds is going to be extremely simple. You're just going to look at your notes and probably just look around, kind of set yourself to what you're going to do. Because if you did all the notes very well, you don't really have much to do during those 30 seconds because you already did all your job. So during the 30 seconds, you can just relax, take your time, look at the notes, and set yourself for speaking soon. But also what you can do is look at the notes and try to make them better. So try to make them more understandable for yourself so that while you're speaking, and speaking is basically just reading your notes, you're going to have no problems understanding what you wrote. So because during the reading and during the listening, you took the notes very rapidly, maybe some of them are not very complete notes. Or maybe at some places, it's better to write down some word which will be useful for you when you will be reading your notes during the speaking section. So during your 30 seconds, what you can do is look at your notes and then add some words. For example, okay, here I'm going to write this verb because it will help me to start this phrase. And then here I'm going to say this word. And then here I'm going to say and start with this word. And then perhaps this is going to be the first thing I'm going to say. And then I'm not going to say this because it's not relevant. Then I'm going to say this as a second thing I'm saying, and then I'm going to say this. So you're working with your notes. You make them more understandable for yourself. Then after your 30 seconds are over, you have a very good cheat sheet. You basically have a script of what you're going to say. So now your goal is pretty simple. You're just going to use the cliches, and then for the rest, you're going to just read from your notes. So during the 30 seconds, you're trying to make your notes as readable as possible. And then during the next 60 seconds, while you're speaking, you're going to just read what you wrote. Okay? But of course, we need to use the cliches. So what are the cliches? For speaking number 3, we start with a sentence. There is an announcement on campus about. So pretty simple. An announcement on campus, you say that there is an announcement on campus, and then you say what it was about. You say what, where, and when. So you are starting to read your notes from the reading passage. There is an announcement on campus about the education job fair that will happen on October 9 at the Washington Center. That's it. That's just one sentence. After you're done with reading your reading notes, you're moving to the listening notes. So you're going to make a transition. Okay, I'm already done with the reading. I'm starting the listening. So here's my transition. 2 students discuss the announcement. So this is again a cliche that you have to memorize and always say it. Once you're done summarizing the reading and you're going to summarize the listening, you're going to say this transition. 2 students discuss the announcement. After that, you're moving to reading us the listening passage, so everything you wrote down from the listening, and you use the phrases the man says, the woman says. Remember, you have to use present simple, the man says, the woman says, and then you just read what each person said. The man says blah blah blah, the woman says blah blah blah. You keep reading with a zigzag, one by one. Okay, the man says this, the woman says this, the man says this, etc. So the main point here is if you made good notes during your reading and during your listening, and if you memorize these cliches, then the job is super simple for you. During 30 seconds, you're just trying to make your notes better, so more readable. And then during 60 seconds, you use the cliches and you read your notes. That's it. So I would say the speaking number 3 is even easier than first 2 speakings, because in the first 2 speakings we have to improvise. And in the speaking number 3, you actually can just read from your notes because you have all of it. So you're just reading. So there's little improvisation really if you made really good notes. It's just you reading your notes. So work on taking notes. If your skill of note taking is not that good yet, work on it. Practice, and then if you're able to make good notes, then the speaking number 3 is going to be great for you. So learn these cliches, take good notes, and in the next lecture we are going to see a sample question. Thanks for watching.